We are recording.
Okay, it's 6:30 on August 1st. We're here in the second floor conference room. I'll call to order the City Brainerd Personnel Finance Committee meeting. We'll start with introductions.
Tiffany Stingon, Ward 3.
Eric Flowers, Brainerd Fire.
Jennifer Bergman, City Administrator.
Connie Hillman, City Finance Director.
Joe Inge, Brainerd Fire.
Kevin Stunek, Alderman at Large.
Teresa Burke, Brainerd Dispatch.
Chris Schubert, HR Director.
Tim Holmes, Brainerd Fire. Paul Sandy, Interim City Engineer.
David O'Brien, Community Action.
Sally Madden, Brainerd Public Utilities.
Gabe Johnson, Chair of the Committee. We have 11 items on the agenda tonight. We are going to move one up to get Paul out of here. We'll go Brainerd Fire first, and then we'll do the Thrash the Trash fundraiser up from number 7 to number 2. Take it away, Joe.
All right, so I see a lot of familiar faces. You're probably pretty familiar with these forms that we submit every year. Every year, the past few years, we've come to you with either staying flat or we've come to you looking to increase our benefit level. And I can clearly remember at the end of every meeting, Gabe always looks at me and says, Joe, what if your fund doesn't perform? Are you going to reduce your benefit level? Well, this is one of those years. The market hasn't done as well as we had expected it would do at this point in time due to unforeseen circumstances in the market, but we are looking to decrease our benefit level by $1,000 per year of service, going from $14,750 to $13,750. This decrease does leave our fund funded at a projected 105% funding level by year end. Currently, we are sitting at 4.6, and I confirmed that this morning with our financial advisor. Our projection shows that we're trying to hit about 4.879 by the end of the year. We still have about 200 in state aid coming sometime in October, and we still have monthly contributions with our redirect and city contributions through the end of the year. We're feeling pretty positive we can still hit that 4.879 projection by the end of the year to make this projection hold.
Perfect.
Any questions?
Any questions? If not, we'll look for a motion.
I make a motion to accept the decrease for the Brainerd Relief Association.
And authorize staff to sign the annual reports.
You have to do both, so.
We can do both in one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do one, you can both one.
Yeah. We got them both in one. We have a motion.
Second.
Yeah, and Joe, thanks for doing that. We've never had, since I've been around, you in a position where you need to decrease your benefits to stay fully funded. And I've always asked, and you did it. I really enjoy working with you guys.
Well, that's because he did a decrease.
Well, no, but we'll always give them the increase as long as we know we'll get the decrease to keep it fully funded. We work well together. We trust each other. It's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You got some dedicated firefighters, guys. You really do.
A few more coming on too, I think.
We just hired 4 more August 1, and you didn't lose anyone coming into this year, so you had no retiring even with the decrease of benefit. I think that's something to be noted for some of our senior
I was
staff.
going to ask that.
Yeah.
If we're
It
going
really
to see
is. So,
retirements, but awesome.
Nice job.
yep.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
All right, Paul, come on up. Let's thrash some trash. Let's go.
I know, Connie, do you want to go over?
I'll start
Go
it.
through the request.
So basically, we received an invoice from Green Day Roll-Off and Landscaping. It was $4,300 more than what the council thought it was going to be. Staff did not want to approve the invoice without it going to council first, being aware and authorizing the additional cost for the cleanup day event. We presented it a couple meetings ago. We had some questions. We reached out to Brainerd Community Action, who addressed those questions, and we did include the letter from Brainerd Community Action as well. That was included in the packet. So basically what staff is looking for is discussion on how to proceed and or authorization of the amount of payment.
Okay, so I think the motion last time was to have you ask the skate park fundraising people how well they did on the fundraiser and if they could participate in this.
Correct. We asked.
Well, Dave Bideau is a part of that,
Correct. We asked these 3 questions to Brainerd Community Action.
but not to the skate park association.
Because we didn't have contact for the skate park association.
So we should have asked Dave one question. How do I get in contact with the skate park association?
We did. If you can either answer the following questions below or provide me with Jake Rainier's contact information.
Okay, so what was the answer?
So the official response from Brainerd Community Action was how they did on the fundraiser. And, we've talked internally a lot about when we do these cleanup events, we often don't know the cost of them. Like the one year we sent out coupons for $10 to all residents in the city of Brainerd. We had no idea how much that was really gonna cost. And so if this was a similar event where we thought it was gonna be $4,500, but it ended up being twice that good,
We were, more or less, we were basing it off of previous experience with these events, and we've never had the need to replace 7 dumpsters at one of these events, and that just goes to how good of a job they did advertising. I think the event we had over the census, I think they maybe filled up 2 dumpsters. And so the expectation was, if you guys fill up a dumpster, go ahead and call them and get it replaced, but the expectation was that that's probably never gonna happen. You're talking about 7 dumpsters filled up, and that's a lot. That's a lot of garbage. And so, they were authorized to go ahead and remove them with the expectation that it's not gonna be any better than the events we've held in the past. I don't know if the right thing to do would have been to tell the skate park association to go home at 11 when they had to go replace the first dumpster because they were full. I don't know if that would have been the right thing to do, but we acted in our best judgment at the time and said, if you fill one up, I guess take it away. So that's maybe a fault on our part, I don't know, but I think it would have been disappointing for people that had a vehicle loaded up full of garbage to come to an event that was planned till 4 p.m. to have it shut down.
So we're hearing all of this for the second time, but for the first time we're not hearing if the skate park association is willing to offset any of those costs. We don't have that answer, which is the question we had last time. Right?
Do you know how well the skate park association did, Dave, at the event?
David Brainerd Community Action. So we are the fiscal sponsor for the skate park group. I informed them that we would just take care of this for them, as is our job. So the skate park association did okay with that event, but I will tell you the same thing that I tell all of our groups about fundraising. Fundraising and events is not how you make money. Events are not a way to generate revenue, they are a way to generate advertising and to generate your cause. So at this event, they pulled in about $2,800, had offset the cost of printing, about $400, so about $2,400 in donations were given to them as tips for running the event. But their obligation for the event was simply manning the hours, as was presented to the council.
Yeah, that doesn't mean we can't ask them. That's why 2 weeks ago we directed staff to ask the skate park association if they would offset the cost. Staff has clearly not done that yet, so we're exactly where we were 2 weeks ago.
The response from Community Action is that we are willing to work with you in whatever terms you deem necessary. However, we do not feel that this was the fault of the skate park group, as it was never their intention nor their obligation to be in charge of dumpsters. Simply filling them and removing them was all they were.
And checking BPU bills, which they did not do.
Well, I cannot say whether or not every single bill was checked. I do know
I can say whether or not every bill was checked. Every bill was not checked.
Well, I can't say because I was not there checking bills. However, I have been given the assurance by that group and Jake, who is very, very good at keeping track of making sure they're on the up and up, that was the task at hand and that they were following that as best they could. Whether or not an individual opted not to do so, I don't know if that's the case.
Well, I guess discussion of how to proceed. Since we still haven't heard from the skate park people, I don't think we should authorize spending any more than the $4,500 we have budgeted on.
We are the skate park people. Brainerd Community Action is the fiscal sponsor for the skate park group. All money that has been received has been sent to Brainerd Community Action, and we hold a fund for the skate park group. So we are 100% in compliance.
You make spending decisions for the skate park.
It's an interesting conversation to have when you talk about fiscal sponsorship. Fiscal sponsorship means that the money is brought to us and is under our control and is being held for that group. We are responsible for those funds. So Brainerd Community Action is responding to you right now.
And staff did reach out to Brainerd Community Action to get those questions answered.
So I think, I don't think we should authorize more than $4,500 since we don't know if the skate park is willing to participate.
The other thing I think that staff would say too is that this was a successful event. One of the things that we've been hearing is helping people remove the debris and the junk from their property. And we have tried several things in the past that have not been successful. this was successful. We collected 14 dumpsters.
Nobody's saying that we didn't bring a bunch of somebody's garbage to the landfill. That's clear through the invoice from Green Day roll-offs. There were people who delivered garbage that was brought to the dump. Nobody's denying that.
Well, that was actually one of the questions that I had last time around, was that I wanted to make sure, because this was
is
so
that
much
real?
more,
Yeah,
is that real?
That is true.
That was one of my questions. I mean, I'm comfortable with, like, we benefited as a community by getting rid of a lot of our crap into these dumpsters, even if, I mean, it was advertised that you would have to be from the city of Brainerd, even if there were a few people who weren't. I'm not that worried about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that we pay the bill. Move to authorize staff to pay the bill. We as a community benefited from this.
Are we still discussing what?
Well, I just
We
made,
I'll accept that motion as in order. I mean, there's either a second or not.
Well, I'll second, but I have discussion.
What do you have?
I think whether it was an error or whatever, I think moving forward, we maybe have to put a X amount of number on dumpsters and whatever. Was it a great event for the city? Yeah. Was it successful? Yeah. But I think moving forward, not pointing fingers at anybody, we need to maybe put a thing and say, okay, 10 dumpsters, 6, whatever the number is, and then we're done, whether it's 11 o'clock, 2 o'clock, or 9 o'clock.
It was $4,500.
Yeah.
That's what we.
Well,
You know, I'm not
actually-
comfortable with the fact that we went way over budget, because if we're gonna do that, then why do we even have budgets, in a sense? But I think in this case, maybe we make an exception, take care of it, and with that in mind, not do it again. Because if we're gonna have a budget and not stick to it, I mean, we doubled our budget that we allotted for.
Well, we didn't, but doubled the budget. The budget was doubled for us.
Yeah. So,
I can say that when we did the one where we went and picked up the trash from, I mean, that cost us way more than what this did too. So I think we're learning as we do different ways of offering these cleanup events too, of what works and what doesn't and how to go forward.
some of me thinks that we allow certain people in the community to take advantage of that program. Now, do we discontinue the program? That's not my decision tonight. But, I mean, people tend to go way overboard. Anyway, we have a motion.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. I'm gonna vote against it. I mean, we had a motion out of committee last time, asking to hear from the skate park. We don't have those questions answered. I don't know why we would send a different motion out, other than paying the $4,500 we had budgeted to get that paid to Green Day at least, because that was what our budget for the project was. So I'll be voting no, because I just want my questions answered. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, same sign. Aye. Motion carries. That'll bring us back up to the top here.
Okay, thank you.
I should give you one of those.
Resignation of firefighters Stangl.
I want that one.
Yeah, thank you. So Josh Stengel submitted a letter of resignation on the 13th. He's just had some changes in his life and he's not able to meet the requirement to be a paid on-call firefighter.
I make a motion to accept with regret the resignation of paid-on-call firefighter Joshua Stengel, effective 7/13/2022.
Second.
A motion and a second to accept with regret. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is to ratify hiring of paid on-call firefighters.
Yep, so we had our hiring process throughout the spring. We had a lot of good applicants this year. We have 4 on the list here that we're asking to ratify their hiring. They actually started today. They'll start at the trainee pay rate, which is 60% of the full regular rate. Once they complete their required training, they'll move to the probationary pay rate, which is 80% of the regular rate. Then once we feel that they're able to perform the regular duties of the firefighters, they'll move to the full rate, usually about a year after they've switched to that probationary rate.
I move to ratify the hiring of Nick Anderson, Isaac High, Anthony Moberg, and Tyler Obrin. Am I saying that right?
Yep.
Effective today.
I'll second that with a comment that if you recognize Anthony Moberg, that's the stepson or nephew,
No, son.
son of Terry Moberg, who was
Oh,
on the fire department.
no, grandson.
Grandson. yeah,
Anthony
okay.
is his grandson, and Nick Anderson is actually Bobby Anderson's son,
Correct.
and Bobby was a battalion chief.
I was told.
So it's kind of, it's really cool actually to see this second generation firefighter coming into the department.
Kind of like you.
That was my next comment.
I'll have to talk to my brother-in-law, Mike Stunek, to see what the hell his problem is.
Yeah, they got a bad reputation.
So, no, great group, like Joe said, we have a great committed group, so excited to add 4 more, and it's going good.
All right,
39?
We're at 38 plus Dave and I, so 40 total.
okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Next on the agenda, thank you, Chief. Next on the agenda is to accept the retirement of Transit Coordinator Anders Stone.
Good evening. Transit Coordinator Anders Stone recently submitted his retirement notice, and he plans to retire with his last working day of August 22nd. We would like to meet with our new city engineer, public works director, give him a chance to observe, since he's the supervisor of that department, before we actually recommend any kind of backfilling or anything like that. So at this time, staff is asking for a motion to accept with regret the retirement of Transit Coordinator Anders Stone, effective August 22nd, and to authorize his severance payout per the employee policy manual.
I so move.
Second.
A motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Next up is the Chad Lardy to Street Maintenance 3.
On the July 18th meeting, the council accepted the retirement of Street Maintenance 3, also our sewer lead, Gary Thompson. We conducted an internal job posting, and we had 1 staff member that applied for the position. Chad Lardy is our recommendation to be promoted to the Street Maintenance 3 sewer position effective October 26th. That is the day after Gary's retirement. Staff is also recommending that an internal job posting process be authorized to backfill Chad's current Street Maintenance 1 position, with the hopes of having that replacement on board by September 15th, a month before basically, so that person can start training in and on the roads and things like that. Snow is going to be here before we know it. One other issue here is that typically our employee policy manual states that they would start at the step that is higher than their current wage. If this was a brand new position or a brand new employee, we would have looked at that initial hiring process steps, that checklist that the council has approved. And going through that, Jennifer and I felt that step 3 would be warranted for him based on his previous experience as being a 10-year pipe layer with crew chief responsibilities. He also, I lost track here. He also is going to be testing in late August to receive the higher MPCA collector's license level than our current sewer lead possesses based on his previous work experience. Gary has a level C, he's going to a B, which is a step higher. He's testing for that. And so that was another thing where he could have gotten an additional step. So we told him at this time that we couldn't justify giving that to him until he actually passed the test. We are required to have someone that has that collector's license on staff. So it is very important that we have that. So in discussing this with Chad, what we're recommending is that we approve a promotion effective October 26th, that it be placed on step 3. However, that he advance to step 4 for this promotion when he achieves the MPCA Class B sewer collector's license. And then also to direct staff to start backfilling that maintenance position.
And Mr. Chair, just one question, I think it's October 16th.
Oh, okay, sorry, yes. That's when his promotion would be effective. Hard to see around mask.
I will make, do you want 2 motions?
No.
Okay, then I'm gonna make 1 motion.
That's
All
what-
those things.
With all those things.
All those things.
All of those 2.
I'll second all those things.
We have a motion and a second to put him on step 3, 4, when he gets his Class B license and backfill the maintenance 1 position.
Could he potentially have his license by the time the promotion comes in October, if he's taking the
Yes.
test at the end of August?
Yes, so he could start at step 4.
Okay.
But right now, if he doesn't pass his license, he would have to be at step 3 when he would start. if he passes it, he would start at step 4.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We got, the next item on the agenda is the revised employee policy manual. Chris?
Yes, so on July 5th, we had brought forth a revised employee policy manual. At that time, the Brainerd Public Utilities Commission had a couple of questions and it asked us to postpone it. We also wanted time to draft the telecommuting remote work policy. On July 14th, council members Bevan and Johnson, as well as commissioners Watso and Madden, met with Jennifer and I to talk about their concerns. I think we reached an agreement, and basically what we've done is we've amended the salary administration plan to say that the city administrator will request feedback from all city appointed boards, that the department is the primary staff liaison to while preparing for said review. We also attached in your packet a sample. It was attached last time, but we tweaked it just a little bit, is what that review form would look like. We also were not able to finalize the teleworking remote work policy at this point. I got back in town on Tuesday and couldn't meet with Christian until Thursday and didn't want to rush it for the packet, so it will be presented at the next meeting. The other thing, Dolly, we had talked about, is that who the commission representatives would be. Talking to Commissioners Madden and Musso, they asked us to include that it would be up to 2 people from the BPU Personnel Committee. So we've slightly tweaked that language as well.
That's just for the hiring committee?
For the hiring committee, right, for the BPU department heads. Other than that, nothing else has changed in the employee policy manual from the July 5th meeting.
That's all good?
That's perfect, thank you, and thanks for your consideration and cooperation.
Yeah, thank you. Kevin?
I so move to approve the revised employee policy manual as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the revised employee policy manual as presented. Is there any discussion or any other questions of Chris? I'll just add that it was really nice meeting with Dolly and Patrick, and I think it was very, very easy process to make the minor changes to make that commission happy and still fit within the goals of what we were doing with the employee policy manual. Seeing no other discussion, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Next up is reporting of working funds. Unless you guys want to talk thrash the trash again. Discussion of reporting the working funds for the 23 audits.
So as we presented at the last council meeting, that now that our charter doesn't say you shall have a public safety, parks and street funds, we can report them under the general fund for reporting purposes. We've budgeted this way for many years because technically those operations are supported by property taxes as well, and not really a steady devoted stream of revenue as needed for reporting them as a special revenue fund. So I gave you a sample of our CAFR, how they're separated out, and then how we list it by expenditure by type, I guess. And then I listed several other different funds that showed that they were all reported under the general fund, as we've been saying. You know, like a lot of times you're gonna find this, that the parks, public safety and streets are going to be reported under the general fund. So I just kind of went through and every sample that I had it that way. Staff's only concern is that when we do our bond rating, for some reason, even though we tell them over and over and over again that our working funds are our general streets, public safety and parks funds, for some reason they only take our public safety fund when they're looking at our fund balance policy. We have told them over and over every time we have a bond rating call. And so the only concern that staff has is what this will maybe possibly do for our bond rating. We did reach out to our financial advisor, have not heard back. But I do think it's the right thing to do when you look at those 4 or 5 other examples and they're all reported under the general fund. It makes sense. As far as internally reporting at this point, we will not change our account structure or the way we report them. It's just how it'll be reported for the annual comprehensive financial report.
So ultimately the change potentially from the bond rating point of view is adding in these other funds that we already consider general funds would make our fund balance look lower than the bond rating companies thought it was.
Potentially.
But still the exact same as we've always known it to be.
Potentially.
That's a risk, yeah.
Yep.
Then potentially would that help our bond rating?
No, I think it would do the opposite to our bond
It
rating.
would-
Because they would look at the
If anything
expenditures.
changes, it would make our fund balance are lower and make it look like we have less ability to repay our debts.
But I think that we've always had a positive fund balance, and we have our fund balance being based on next year, so I mean, I think we're looking at it right. Personally, I just feel like it's the right thing to do, like all the other cities report. Why not make ourselves and be more comparable?
And it would simplify it for the public and everybody too, so I don't know what kind of direction you're looking for, if you need a motion, but I think if you do just,
I just think a motion to, we're directing staff to report.
so the motion is direct staff to report all 4 general fund, public safety fund, parks, rec fund, street fund, under the general fund
Correct,
for the 2023 audit.
correct.
I will make that motion, but Connie, could you report back when you hear from the bonding people too? On what they have to
Yep.
say?
It actually won't be the bonding people, it'll be our financial advisors, so they might not be able to directly answer a question either, but yes, I will.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, that motion carries. Next up is timeline for the budget.
Just kind of list it out there, August 22nd or 23rd, present the budget to the PNF Chair and Council President per the city charter. Have a budget workshop on August 29th, and this is where the Park Board will also present their operating budget. And then have additional workshops or further discussion about the budget and levy in September, and we have to set the preliminary levy at the September 19th council meeting, or we would need a special council meeting for that. So I think just review the timeline, make sure it makes sense for everyone, and then set a budget workshop for Monday, August 29th at 6 o'clock p.m.
That's
Looks
just
like a good timeline to me, yeah,
Yeah.
does that
Would
work?
it be a
Not
motion
work?
for that?
No, that just is the timeline unless
Yeah.
somebody's like on
Yeah.
vacation and needs us to move it.
I am supposed to be taking some kids camping on Monday, the 29th, but I don't think it's,
There's 5 Mondays in August, and so we looked at potentially doing it on the 22nd. However, the Park Board doesn't meet until the 24th,
yeah,
and so that's why we picked the 29th.
That's fine.
that'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay, we'll bring that up to council, see if Papa Kelly approves.
All right, we have, on June 30th, we received our second and final distribution of ARPA funds. The city has now received the entire allocation. So the motion that we're looking for is to adopt the attached resolution to accept the final distribution of ARPA funds.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the resolution. We will recommend that adoption. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. Any update on the requested funds returned from next year?
Why, yes, I do.
Oh, we've got an update.
Why, yes, I do. At 1:16 this afternoon, I got an email from Dave Henschke. Jennifer, the Lakes Area Media Collaborative Board, has been discussing the future plans of the organization and is in the process of consulting with legal counsel to help guide our planning process. Once LMC receives the necessary guidance from legal counsel, we will respond to your inquiry. Respectfully, Board of Directors, Lakes Area Media Collaborative.
It took a year.
So basically, nothing.
No update.
Forget that.
Do you want
Yeah.
that? Yeah, I figured you might. I was gonna forward it, but I thought,